Good morning, everybody. This is another Dvar Torah brought to you by TorahAnyTime.com. So this is the last parasha of the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, and the parasha is called Vayechi. Vayechi Yaakov, and literally that means, and Yaakov lived, even though this is talking about the death of Jacob, the death of our last forefather. But our sages teach us that tzaddikim, righteous people like our forefathers, b'mitatam hem chayim yoter mechayehem. Even after they're dead, so to say, even after they pass away, they're still alive with us. And that's really a lesson alone that the Torah teaches us, that tzaddikim, after they die, they're alive with us today. What do you mean they're alive with us today? Their spirit, the neshama, is alive with us. We speak about them all the time. We learn about them. We learn about their stories, and we become better people just from learning about them. In other words, they're still alive in us, in our midst, because they teach us so much. So here it was, Jacob was just about to die. We're talking about already that he found his lost son for 22 years. He didn't see him. He lived in Egypt. He was with his son for 17 years. Our sages say this was the best time of Yaakov Avinu's life. The last 17 years when he was with his family together, and his son Yosef when he was the ruler over Egypt. So he calls in his son. He realized he was going to die. He was on his deathbed. And he tells his son, listen, I'm going to die, and I know Paro, the king of Egypt, is going to want me to be buried here in this land, in the land of Egypt. But I want to make my last request before I die. My last bakasha, so to say. This is the last thing I'm going to ask for you. And that is that I don't want to be buried over here in the land of Egypt. I want to be buried with my forefathers, with Abraham, with Isaac. I want to be buried in the land of our fathers, in Eretz Israel, the Holy Land. And I want to be buried in the designated lot in Me'arat HaMachpelah, the famous cave where they're buried, where the patriarchs are buried over there, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebecca, and also Leah is buried over there. That's where I want to be buried. So the pasuk says, Vayomer, Jacob says to Yosef, Hishav'a li, make an oath to me that you're going to do this for me. Vayishav'a lo, and he makes his last request. He makes his son Yosef, his beloved son. Not only he tells him to bury me there, but he makes him make an oath. Vayishav'a lo, and he makes him make an oath, and he bows down to him, and he departs from his father. The Ramban Nachmanides on this says the following. This is very strange. I mean, Yaakov is telling his favorite son Yosef, he's asking him a request, the last request, bury me in Eretz Israel. So he has to say, couldn't he just say bury me there? You know, what is he telling him? Make me an oath, as if he doesn't trust him. It's like putting a lack of trust in a person. Imagine if you go up to your best friend, if you go up to somebody who you really trust all your life, and you say, I beg you, I plead with you, do me this favor. You can be guaranteed it's going to be done. And you go to, no, by the way, make an oath to me that you're going to do it. By you telling your best friend, who you trust so much, make an oath, he's going to get offended. You say, you think I'm not going to do it for you? So what was the purpose of this oath that Jacob, so to say, Yosef, I don't trust you. Not only do I want you, this is my last request to you, my beloved son, but I don't trust. Make an oath. Guarantee me that you're going to do it. Take yourself on an oath. So this doesn't really look nice on the eyes of Yosef to his father Yaakov. So Nachmanides asks the question, and he says, Lo haya Yaakov choshed bebno atzadik ha'ahuv. God forbid to think that Jacob didn't trust his son Joseph. The reason why he needed Joseph to make an oath, not because he didn't trust Yosef, but the reason was, Jacob had foresight, and he could tell the future, and he knew that Paro is not going to like the fact that he's not going to be buried in the land of Egypt. And therefore, he said to Yosef, take an oath. When you take an oath, it's going to be harder for Paro to not allow you to do my last will and my last wishes, to be buried outside Mitzrayim. You know, Jacob, when he came into the land of Egypt, the famine stopped. And even Paro knew that such a great and holy man came to the land of Egypt, he's going to want him to be buried there, because it would give the blessing of the land to Egypt to stay with him, to stay with the land. And Jacob knew this. And Jacob knew it was going to be a tough one to persuade Paro to get me out of the country. And people say, there's other rabbis that say, once you stay in Egypt, you can't be taken out of Egypt. You have to be buried there. That was the law. That's why Joseph was buried in Egypt. He had to also make the Bnei Yisrael swear to take them out when they left the land. That's the land and the law of Egypt. So how is he going to tell Paro that my father said, I have to take him out? It's going to be tough. And it was tough. Paro in the beginning didn't allow Joseph to take Yaakov out of Mitzrayim to be buried in Israel. But then Joseph said, but what can I do? I swore to my father, I gave him an oath. I'm on oath, I have to do it. And Paro had no choice. So we see that Jacob did it not because he didn't trust his son, but he had foresight to make it difficult for Paro to say no. And that's why he made his son Joseph swear. But then says the Ramban something else, another answer. And another reason why he made Joseph do it, וגם יוסף יצטרך יותר להשתדל בעניין מפני השבועה. In order to make Yosef make more effort. More effort. The reason why he made his son swear, reason number 2, is to make Yosef have more of an effort to bury his father in Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. And with the second answer of the Ramban, the question still stands. The Ramban is telling us in his second answer that the reason why he gave Yosef to make an oath to take him out of the land of Egypt and bury him in Israel is because with an oath, Yosef's going to try harder. Yosef's going to put more effort. That means to say, without the oath, Yosef is going to put less of an effort to bury his father in Eretz Yisrael. So on the second answer the Ramban is giving, the question still stands. Are you telling me that Yosef, without an oath, isn't going to put so much of an effort to bury his dad outside, take him out of the land of Egypt? You're not trusting your own son? And the truth is, we can ask this same question with the servant of Abraham. Abraham's most trusted servant that we spoke about a few weeks ago, Eliezer. When he was looking for a wife for his son Isaac, and he told Eliezer, his most trusted servant, to go and find a wife, he made Eliezer take an oath. Why? Because he didn't trust him without an oath. The oath, for some reason, makes a person have more effort. So the question is, why is it that Eliezer didn't trust, Abraham didn't trust his servant Eliezer without an oath? And Jacob didn't trust, according to the Ramban, second reason, that it wasn't for Paro, it was for Yosef too, the reason why he took an oath. Why is it that Jacob didn't trust his own beloved son, Yosef, without an oath? And this is the Ramban, and we have to explain this. So the rabbis, our sages explain this. Rabbi Franz speaks about this too. Other rabbis speak about this. And the answer is, our sages tell us, that, of course, Yosef, even without an oath, and Eliezer without an oath, the trusted servant of Abraham, they would have done their job the best way possible. Eliezer would have done his job the best way possible to find a wife for Isaac. And Yosef would have put everything into it to make sure his father is buried in the land of Eretz Yisrael, even without an oath. But you know what the difference is with an oath and without? For example, if you tell your best friend, come up to your best friend, and you say, listen, you're my most trusted of friends. I want you to do me this favor. Do me this favor, do this for me. And he says, for sure, for you I'll do anything. I owe you so much. Of course I'm going to do it for you. What happens if in the course of the way he really tries to help his friend and he puts every bit of humanly possible effort to help his friend because he really trusts his friend and he loves his friend and he owes his friend so much to do what he needs to do? But on the way, there's an obstacle that's stopping him. And it's not his fault. It's not his personal fault. He tried. He put all his effort. He tried his hardest. He didn't just sit down and lay back. He tried everything possible to do what his friend wanted him to do. To greet his friend's request. But now he's stuck. He can't go further. There's obstacles on the road. He can't do it. So what's he going to say to himself? He said, look, I tried. Not only did I tried really hard. But nevertheless, what can I do now? I can't do it. There's an obstacle on the road. What do you want me to do? And then you're going to feel good about it. You're going to say, look, at least I tried. At least I give it my best shot. And that's here too with Yosef. Jacob said, of course I could trust Yosef, even without an oath. And Yosef's going to do his best, and he's going to try, and he's going to go to Paro, You're going to say, my father, I gave him my word and I have to take him out of the land. But what happens if Paro is going to put an obstacle in front of Yosef? And he actually did. And he's going to say, I'm sorry. This is the law of Egypt. Once you come in here, you can't get buried out of here. This is the law, and I'm not changing the laws, even for you, Yosef. So what's Yosef going to say to himself? Look, I tried my hardest. I pulled strings. I went to Paro. I tried to persuade Paro. I used all my contacts. It's just not working. Paro's putting obstacles for me on the road. So Yosef's going to have a clean conscience. He's going to say, at least I know I did my best that I could. But when Yosef made an oath, when a person is on oath, he realizes that's not good enough. Suddenly he gets powers, and he gets a strength, an inner strength. He digs deep in his body, and he finds ways to try to go around all the obstacles he can. That oath is on his mind. But I took an oath. My father made me take an oath. You're right, I tried. You're right, there's obstacles. No, but there is something I can do. And he's going to try even harder. He's going to put more of an effort. And suddenly he sees that he can go around those obstacles. And he can get out of Paro, even though he didn't want. But he can get his way. And that's why the Ramban meant that Jacob gave an oath to Yosef, to take an oath to take him out of Egypt. Not because he didn't trust him. Because he knew with an oath, he can get round even the biggest obstacles that there is, that Paro would put in him. But the oath is always going to be in front of Joseph's eyes. And he's not going to sleep consciously until he does his father's will. And that was the foresight of Jacob. That is a beautiful insight that the Torah is teaching us, and Yaakov Avinu is teaching us. When I told you the parasha, the name is Vayechi Yaakov. This week, even though Yaakov dies, but he's still alive with us. What a lesson for us that Jacob is teaching us for our lives, ladies and gentlemen. Many times this can be applied to us in our day-to-day lives. Just by being a teacher in school, I notice that sometimes we have a weaker class, and there's two different levels. Sometimes we teach Talmud, so we have the higher level of boys, the lower level. And sometimes the boys who are on the lower level, it's very hard for them to try and get them excited, enthusiastic about learning and studying Talmud. Talmud isn't easy. So sometimes you just have to, you say to yourself, what's going to get them to learn? What's going to get them to get 100 on the test? It's a hard test. So you tell them, sometimes you have to use a bribe. Tell them, look kids, if you get 100, if you get over 90, whatever it is, whatever your goal is as being a teacher. Just one example. Right? I'm going to order you, we're going to have burgers for lunch the next day. You're going to get $2 each. You're going to come to me, we're going to go out Saturday night bowling. You see what a difference, what a change. Suddenly those boys who are weak, they have something in front, they have a goal to get 100, to get over 90, whatever you make. Your limit, your goal for in your class. They have that oath in front of them. That could be going bowling, that could be going and eating burgers for lunch with their Rebbe, that could be getting $3, $4. But they have something to motivate them, to push them even further. That's the oath of Joseph that Yaakov gave. And this is in our lives, in our marriage. A person wants his marriage to work out. So sometimes it isn't easy. It's tough. You have hard days. You have obstacles. So what does a person do? If a person who's married to a woman and it's hard for him, he has an obstacle, he has to do something for his wife, and he's tired. But nevertheless, he sees the goal. He goes beyond that obstacle. He wants his marriage to last. He wants his wife to be happy. He's going to stay with her for the rest of his life, and she's going to stay with him for the rest. So even though there's obstacles in the way of a marriage, but we go around them. Because we know it's good for us, it's good for our spouses. And how much more so, ladies and gentlemen, is it work with Torah and mitzvot and spirituality. Sometimes it's hard for us to get up in the morning to go to minyan, to go and pray our daily services. It's cold, it's the winter, it's not easy, it's raining outside. Even when it's a sunny day, it's easy to get out of bed. But when it's a cold day, who doesn't like to be under his blankets in the morning, cozy? I love sleeping when I hear the rain outside. I love it. It just makes me sleep better, makes me sleep more cozy. It's harder to get up in the morning. But if getting up in the morning, going to minyan, is important to us, if that's what is important if that knowing, praying with the minyan is so much more important than praying at home yourself, if that is vital to us, if that's like our oath, then we'll get out of bed. Whether it's raining or sunshine, it doesn't make a difference. It all depends what's important into our eyes. So this is what Yaakov Avinu is teaching us. Every one of us has that oath in front of our eyes. The only question is, what is the oath? What is important to us in our life? Is Torah important to us? Is mitzvot important to us? If we would have a business deal early in the morning, whether it's rain or shine, trust me, we're going to fly out of bed. And this is our question. This is what we all have to ask ourselves. Is only physicality important to us, or is spirituality too? Let's try and take this lesson from Jacob and make our lives not just a trivial life, but let's make it more important, more spirituality. Let's tell our kids, let's be an example for our family and kids. Tefillah is important, minyan is important, putting on the right tefillin is important, the right kashrut is important. And let's realize that's the oath in front of us. That's going to make us successful. Be'ezrat Hashem. Have a great week.